What's happening, you guys? This is Coach Joel and Coach Emily, and we're here to absolutely blow your mind. This is Proclivity. We do a thing really well. We help people get to metabolic flexibility. Coach Emily, in the most simplest terms, what is metabolic flexibility?
Most simplest terms. Ability to use both fat and carbs for a fuel source. To easily use both. Go back and forth.
Yeah, like switching on a light, right? To be able to have the power to be able to go, oh, cool, I'll burn fat. And fat is a very clean source of energy. So there's not a lot of residue, if that makes sense. And so when we're able to use that fat, we have sustained energy levels, right? We feel very clear throughout the day. I mean, I did a bunch of posts the other day about how I eat one meal a day. And everybody's like, how do you survive? And I'm like, I survive really well. And one of the things that I said is it took a while to get metabolically flexible, then eat 2 meals, then be able to have 1 meal. And there's still days that I have 2 meals, right? And when I say 1 meal, guys, I eat with about a 2 to 3 hour window, right? It's 1 meal within a 2 to 3 hour window to make sure that I get the amount of protein that is needed throughout the day. And we talk a lot about protein and the benefits of protein. Yet, metabolic flexibility is the thing that we do and we do really well. And so if you're interested in getting a metabolically flexible body where you can burn fat, hit us up. Go to our website, www.proclivity.co. You can go to our Instagram page, proclivity.co, and you can do a clarity call with Emily and I, 2 superstars. We do this as a profession. We don't own a gym, right? This is something that both Emily and I are extremely passionate about. And not only are we going to help you with metabolic flexibility, but we're going to help you with the imposter that lives inside you as well. You don't know what that imposter is? That's the one that says, I never lose weight. Diets just don't work for me. Yeah, we get to the root of that sucker. We rip that sucker out. And you leave the 12-week program with a rock-solid mindset on your nutrition and with yourself. Does that sound about right, Coach Emily?
100%.
100%. That means I was completely right, guys, if you don't know what 100% is. 100%. I do want to thank our title sponsor, Eat Sleep. Emily, the other night, I'm laying, and it just I'm laying on my back, and I just can feel the cool water running underneath my back. And I'm just like, and then in the morning, it gets all warm. So I'm like laying in bed, I'm just like, it's all warm. I'm telling you guys, if you want to increase your quality of sleep, 8 Sleep is the jam. 8 Sleep is the jam. We have 2 codes that you can check out with. One is Joel. The other one is Proclivity. $150 off your order. Check them out. Check them out. Coach Emily.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel that I talk too slow?
I know you do it with intention.
Dang right I do. Dang right I do. Why? Let me ask you if because I feel like I've told you before. Why do I speak slow?
It allows you to think before you speak, allows you to breathe better, because you always say you can't take back words.
Oh, guys, you can never take back the words you say. People can forgive you. You can forgive yourself. Yet that is the power of words. Again, stuff that we really work on. And if you ever are going to do presentations, you're going to stand in front of people, having your breath low and slow is vital. And so this is a presentation. We're presenting ourselves. And so being able to hear the way we speak, low and slow, helps you to recognize it. And now, reticular activating system, don't know what that is? Look it up. It's a big deal. Now you'll start going like, wow, they do talk slow. I like listening to them. They're nice and they give good information. Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's get into this.
Let's do
People
it.
people don't want to hear about low and slow. They want to hear about fat. We're talking fat today. I just love talking about the base stuff here because it's just like people skip right over it. Right over it. And I'm like, what? You can't build a house without the foundation, and yet we just fly right over it and start talking about calories and macros and supplements and what? No, we're going to talk about fat. Fat that we ingest, fat that we have on our body, how to utilize it, how to become metabolically flexible, how to be able to get to a point where you are superhuman. You guys, we make superhuman people. And then you sleep on an 8-sleep mat, right? Or pod, and then you're just, and you get the molecule air filter, and before you know it, you're just like, yes, I'm Wolverine. If y'all don't know who Wolverine is, that's one of my favorite Marvel comics. So, again, nobody's concerned about my love for Marvel. Everybody's concerned about fat. So, let's dive into it. Coach Emily, let's break it down from the beginning. What is fat and why do we need it? What is fat and why do we need it?
Yeah, fat is one of the 3 macronutrients that we need to consume in order for our body to have the functions we want it to have. So there's protein, carbs, and then fat. So fat and carbs are typically our fuel sources. And so fat is one option for a fuel source. And it's something that helps with so many things, such as it's the foundation, or cholesterol and fat are the foundation of the cell membrane. If you don't have a healthy cell membrane, you know what? You're not going to have healthy functions in your body all around. So that's my favorite one. But it's so important for brain health, for long-term energy, such as, like, I call it slow burning fuel. It's good for your skin and your hair, your eye health, fertility, hormone balance, blood sugar balance, your gut health. It helps cushion your organs, and the list goes on and
on. So you're saying it's important?
Very.
Very important. So us demonizing fat, not a good idea.
Not a good idea unless we're talking about the types of fats, the quality of fats.
Okay, well, before we get to that, and we're going to guys, we're going to dive into the different types of fats. Yet, let's talk about the perception that people have out there, because just the other day, we were on a clarity call, and both you and I are shaking our heads like, oh yeah, they think fat is like the worst thing ever, right? Due to the fact that they were talking about, oh, we get extra lean meat, we get extra lean, bacon, we don't have any fat, we don't add fat, we don't. Where did this come from, Emily? Where did this come from? Why is it like fat is the worst?
Yeah, it's a sad story to me. In the 70s, there was a study that came out. Literally, it started with one study that demonized saturated fat. And with studies, in a lot of studies, they're not all well created. They're not, you can form a study to make the outcome what you want it to be. And I don't think this was the scientist's intention, but it's what happened. And it demonized saturated fat, saying it caused poor health. It drove your cholesterol up, the bad kind, and it stuck. It was, it's like anything these days that's like kind of scary. It gets stuck in the media and spreads. And so it ended up demonizing anything with saturated fat in it, including meat, eggs, bacon, butter, which is so sad because those are all super nutrient dense. But that's where it came from. And then people just thought, oh man, we can't have saturated fat. So then all these alternatives started coming up, like margarine. Let's eat chicken and turkey instead of beef or steak. Let's have turkey bacon instead of real bacon. Let's avoid eggs or stick to a minimum amount. And so it's just stuck since then.
And shortly after that, right, the food pyramid came out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Good point.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that was early 90s. The food pyramid came out and it put fat at the very top. Don't have fat.
Right. And that was based off of the study. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So this then stuck around, right? Because, well, we heard and we saw in the food pyramid, and, and then different fitness people and nutritionists and dietitians were like, well, I mean, that's the way it is, and saturated fat's bad, and, and so on and so forth. Repetition is the mother of all skills. It's something we say quite often in proclivity. So, repping out that fat is bad over and over and over and over and over again it's gonna stick, right? It's gonna demonize it.
Yeah. And I think the name too is unfortunate. People say, "Oh, fat makes us fat," and they connect that in their brain. It's not true.
Yeah, guys.
That makes sense, right? If you're thinking logically and you don't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, totally. And that's
right.
We here at Proclivity, we want to make it as simple for you. As simple, right? Do simple better. It is not rocket science, guys. There's a lot of nutritionists out there and a lot of nutrition programs that are trying to make it rocket science. Nope. Guess what? If you focus on food all day long, what are you going to think about? Food, right? So then we get to a point of obsessing about food. And then we got to think, because we've been told calories in, calories out. Now I got to outwork my diet. Whoa. Now we're adding more onto an already full plate with a hyper focus of nutrition. We don't need to do that. And when we start plucking out, hey, fat is bad, right? And we start going, wow, fat is essential. And we allow ourselves to accept that, then we can start sinking in and go, oh, okay, well, it's just fat. It's just food. I'm going to eat. I'm going to see how it feels. I'm going to notice a name. And we start getting to
get curious.
Yeah, get curious, you guys, instead of conflicting. Get curious today. If you're listening to this right now, anything in your life, when you feel some tension come up, instead of getting conflicting of, oh my gosh, I can't believe they, or, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ate this, or I can't believe work is doing this to me. Get curious. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I hungry right now? That's really interesting that person acted that way. I wonder what's going on in their life. You will find it becomes a superpower. This is the language part, guys. Yes, we talk about metabolic flexibility, but we also talk about the language. What we say matters, directs us in one way or another. And so getting curious about it. Why do I think fat's bad? Is it bad? Wait, who told me that? Who told me that fat was bad? When you start questioning that, you go, well, that doesn't make much sense. So, and guess what, guys? Data is data. 42% of Americans are obese now. Highest it's ever been. There's some misguided information out there. And we're here to help you through it. So, all right, so we talked a little bit about the fats. Now let's go into it. There are some fats that we should not necessarily avoid, but keep at a minimal amount. And there's some fats where people think like, oh, that's bad fat. Where it's like, well, no, actually, you can have that fat. Go for it. Give us a breakdown of just these different fats, the ones maybe we should focus on, right? The ones that we should be like, oh, okay, just be aware over here.
Yep, totally. So within the fat in general, there's different types. There's saturated, there's monounsaturated, there's polyunsaturated fats. And all of those just mean there's different structures to them. And so when that structure is damaged, aka heat or light, as an example, then it becomes, there's oxidative damage. So if we consume that, then that causes damage and an inflammation within our body. And so I think this helps people understand that, oh, well, so if we eat a polyunsaturated fat and it's been heated, that's what's going to cause that inflammation in our body. So, for example, polyunsaturated fats are things like seed oils, nuts, some fish. And it's typically, these are the ones that we find most often in packaged foods, in restaurants. And so they are most, they're most in abundance out there for people to consume. They're easy for people to eat because there's so many of them out there, readily available.
Right.
And these are the ones that tend to be heated up and used because they're cheaper. And so these are what's causing an imbalance and higher inflammation, most of us. So on the flip side, there's saturated fats. Those tend to be stronger as far as their structure and their makeup. Those can be heated at a higher temperature. Those can be used for cooking, for sauteing, anything in restaurants, but they tend to be more expensive, and that's why restaurants avoid them. Number one, but also number two, we've been told saturated fats are this evil thing, but they're not. So saturated fats is what I recommend for cooking. Those are the good ones. Those are the ones that we can eat for most people as much as you want as far as fats go. So coconut oil, butter, animal fats, like I like using bacon fat. Some people love like lard or tallow, and then ghee. I love ghee as well. And so those are great for cooking at higher temperatures. And then, as I mentioned, the monounsaturated fats are ones that can be warm or maybe heated a little bit, but not to a certain extent. So like olive oil, avocado, some nuts, olives, those things can handle a certain amount, versus saturated fats can go much higher. And so what I would recommend is minimizing the polyunsaturated fats, because we tend to get so many of them through, again, packaged foods, eating out at restaurants, those kinds of things. And they're easy to eat because we tend to snack on nuts or seeds, or a lot of us do. And we want that balance. We want to be able to have all of those fats, and we want to avoid the highly inflammatory ones, the ones that have been damaged by heat or light. I hope I answered that.
That was beautiful, you guys. And I'm going to pull in terms of wrapping this up a little bit. So what Emily's talking about is that the polyunsaturated fats, and if you guys watch our Instagram lives, we go into grocery stores and we find those polyunsaturated fats, the seed oils, right? The canola oils that are hiding in the packaged food that you think is great. I mean, we found foods the other day, 6 ingredients and seed oil, right? One of them was seed oil.
Even if it says paleo on it.
Or gluten-free or organic, right? It can be an organic canola oil, right? Or an organic seed oil, but when it's heated, right, changes that structure, creates inflammation. Guys, you know what one of the biggest causes of chronic disease is? Inflammation, right? We are supposed to be at a 1-to-1 ratio when it comes to omega-3 to omega-6s, right? We talk about take your fish oil, right? DHA, right? Most Americans are at 1-to-20.
Because of those polyunsaturated fats, yep.
Because of the polyunsaturated fats.
Or sorry, being in all those packaged products and in the restaurants, especially, yep.
Right. So this is the hidden stuff that we push hard on, because when we're talking about the other fats, right, that we just talked about, avocado, coconut oil, right, lard, people would be like, lard? No way. Bacon fat? Are you kidding me? Who told you that bacon fat is bad for you? Who told you this, right? Yet we continue to not see in the package the hidden killer that's getting us all. Okay, I hope you guys are starting to see this, where it's just like, wait a second, it is okay to be able to have avocado, coconut oil, bacon, full bacon, red meat, right? You can have those things. It's good for you. Everything needs to be in a balance. Yet, to demonize the stuff that we've been eating for millions of years is wild to me. And the Industrial Revolution, right? The last 200-300 years, the Industrial Revolution, and we haven't questioned what's being put in the packaged foods. Take a look, you guys, and look at that. And if you have questions about the fats, don't get too caught up in the saturated, unsaturated, polyunsaturated, so on and so forth. Just really look for, again, those oils. And Emily, can you name off those oils again, the ones that were we need to look for
Yeah.
in our packaging?
So I would say there is one to actually avoid, and that's hydrogenated oil. So you'll find that in things like Skippy peanut butter. You'll find it in margarine. Those kind of things you really want to avoid like completely because those are extremely damaging. The ones we want to minimize, and if you can avoid, of course. But again, don't get too like stressed and wrapped around it. Those are canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, grapeseed, rapeseed. Um, and those are the main ones. Those are the ones I find most in packages. But there's a whole list. If you just look up vegetable and seed oils, it's all of them. And some can be used if you get like cold pressed, again, organic cold pressed, and it's used in, say, a salad dressing. That might be a little bit better because it hasn't been heated, hopefully, right? Fingers crossed. We don't know what goes on. But sometimes those can be okay too. But those, if you go around to most stores, like Joel was saying, like we did last night, you're looking in the packages, that's what you're going to find in 95 or higher percent of all packaged foods.
And the oils we want to see in those packages, and they're out there. What are the oils we want to see if we're going to have some processed packaged food?
Yeah. Number one, coconut oil, because that can stand a higher heat. Butter or ghee. Sometimes companies will use like animal fat or lard, like we mentioned, or tallow. And then avocado oil or olive oil is also better. And palm oil can be okay too. There's some controversy around that as far as how to farm it sustainably, but that's a stable one as well.
There it is. There it is, you guys. So looking at those foods, the foods that are the whole foods, such as red meats, such as eggs, it's good, right?
Right. Yep.
Go for it, guys. Go for it. So I know that some people, again, we get caught up in the weeds when it comes to, well, how much should I have? When should I have it? Right? People they get worked up. Is there a certain time we should be having fat, right? Because we talked about carbohydrates, guys. If you missed that episode, right, 2 episodes ago, we talked about carbohydrates and timing of carbohydrates. What about fat? Is there a good time to be able to eat fat?
Yeah, this one can be tougher and so understandably confusing for people out there because depending on the individual, as far as amounts, it can vary depending on how many carbs you're eating because we don't want to have a ton of carbs and a ton of fat, right? Because that will lead to an excess and overeating and other issues. As far as the timing goes, again, that one's person dependent. Some people don't like to have it right before a workout, for example, because if you're not used to digesting fat, it can cause some, upset because it takes longer to digest. But to me, that's a signal that your digestion is off and we need to work on that. And it's not just, the food's problem, right? Or fault. So that's the big thing I hear in like the macro world is like, avoid fats right around your workout and focus on carbs and protein, which yes, that can work for some people. But if it's for a digestive issue, then that's something else we need to work on. Otherwise, I would say in general, have fat at every single meal. It's going to help you stay satiated. It's going to help you with longer lasting energy. And so for most people, that's what I would say is keep it simple and have it at most meals. But especially if we had to pick one meal, it would be in the morning. So it's like protein and fat in the morning so you can fuel up for your day ahead, especially if you're doing the 1 or 2 meals a day.
My meal last night, I'll give you guys an example, and we'll see if this passes with Coach Emily. My meal last night started off with 1 slice, right? It was from a block of cheese, of organic white cheddar cheese. A few grapes, maybe a palmful of grapes, half a beef sausage, the ones at Costco. Grass-fed.
I had that too for dinner last night.
Oh my gosh, girl. If y'all haven't had that, I mean, it's stupid good. And again, a lot of people would run away from it because it's like, oh my gosh, look at the fat content. Then I had a salad. It was the power greens from Costco. So it has, baby chard and spinach and so on and so forth. Had some grape tomatoes, a little bit of avocado oil, a little bit of vinaigrette, ground turkey, some pumpkin seeds on top.
Yes. Love those.
Love those pumpkin seeds. Love those pumpkin seeds. And then some cucumbers with some hummus. What do you think?
Sounds great. Did you enjoy it?
Oh my gosh, like every time. I literally think about it when it gets to the end of the day. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I get to go eat that. And you guys might think like, because you were in the health field for so long, or this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because my palate has changed where I crave to have. I did a 20-mile run. This was during the summer. The first thing I wanted was vegetables and hummus. That's what I wanted. I came in, I was just like, oh my gosh, this bell pepper with hummus is going to be so good. After running 20 miles, no intake, no calories, 20 miles. First thing I wanted was hummus and bell pepper. Does that make sense?
Totally. I was the same way. I grew up a picky eater, only eating, I would say 90% carbs. I always wanted dessert. And then, so to get me to eat vegetables and meat, that was a challenge for myself. And my palate did change over the years. And now that's what I crave too. I'm like, I used to be like, oh, I want that. Like, I want to go get In-N-Out, or I want to go get, chicken tenders or a donut. And now I'm like, no, like I actually don't want that. One, because my palate has changed and I just don't crave it as much. But two, I know how it makes me feel. So yes, it does change and gets better. 100%.
100%, guys. 100%. And so to the point, what we're making is, yes, we run a 3-month program. Yet we tell people, if you think that your entire life is going to change in 3 months, psych, right? We're here for the long haul. Like we have continuation programs after. We want to give as much information as we can. That's why we do this podcast. That's why we do Tuesday Night Lives, is because we want to continue to give information, because our number one priority is for you to live a healthy and happy life. And you have to understand that it takes time. And by using our words and our language, which no one else is doing, we are the tip of the spear, guys, and we're only going to get better. And by using our words, we help people to unwind that false belief you have in your head. And then you get to go in a direction where you go, wait, no, I got this. And you create this longevity, and then it becomes easy. It literally goes, how hard is it to eat these foods? We ask people all the time. They go, easy. How hard was it to lose that weight? Didn't even think about it. Are you kidding me? With all these other programs out there where it's like, obsessive, count my carbs, blah. And then you get done and you're just like, oh my gosh, I need all the donuts in my face.
And not only that, like you said, you'll just want everything else that much more because you've been depriving yourself. Which again, that works for some people, but when you're at that, most people, they're at that point afterwards of like, oh, I just want to go back to eating normal or make it worse. But I find in a lot of females, when you start restricting fat to a certain level, your hormones get way off balance, and that leads to a whole nother host of more problems. And I see that very often.
Can you just real quick, we're going to do a podcast on this, guys. But just real quick, because it's really, really important, ladies, due to the fact, again, the misinformation, the food pyramid, then it's, oh, right, I just need to restrict my calories. And so now you're restricting it by just restricting your carbs, and you're missing the balance of fats and proteins. Mm-hmm. Give us just a few of the hard-hitting ones that might click for a lot of women who are listening right now, who go, oh, whoa, that's from the food that I'm missing. What are some things?
Some things to help with hormone balance, or
what they would be feeling right now. Like, what's the hell they would be going through with not having fats.
Got it. Yeah. So poor sleep, lethargy or poor energy in your workouts. Like, I get so many people who are like, oh, I'm like, I feel lightheaded, or I get, that feeling in your warm up where you're like, oh, this is a little hard, but then you get past it and you're like, yeah, I'm good for this workout. And yeah, it's challenging, but I'm energized. If you have that lethargic feeling that whole time, not a good sign. If you don't recover well, if you're starting to have skin issues, if you have hangriness, most common one maybe. So you get hangry really easily in between meals. And then your menstrual cycle is not normal. It's another big one.
That's a big one.
Those are the mains.
That's a big one, and we'll dive into that because you had some experience with that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then, sorry, one more. If you're putting your time into the gym and you're not gaining muscle or you're not finding the results that you want, that could be another big factor.
Just think about it, ladies. We'll come back to that. We'll do a podcast, so just look for it in the future. Okay. Let's get back to the fat. Let's give some really tangible stuff here. First and foremost, let's answer the question, does fat make me fat?
No. If I were to pick yes or no, no. It's typically the combination of poor quality fats and too much sugar, if I had to put it as simply as possible.
Weird, you guys. We're so focused on our calories. We're just trying to find the packaged stuff that works for our day because we're running around with our heads cut off all day long. But this package says gluten-free, so on and so forth. We don't know about we haven't looked to find and see those improper fats. And then we're loading ourselves with carbohydrates and sugars. And so that's really what's causing the more fat, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where people come to me and they're like, oh, my cholesterol's high. My doctor told me I need to lower it. So that means I need to eat less beef, right? And more plants. And I'm like, that's usually like their head's in the wrong spot just because of the information that we've been told.
Yep.
It's typically because of the sugar, because of the poor quality, high inflammatory fats.
For sure. And let's cover this just real quick. How many years do doctors study nutrition?
0 years. It's days or weeks.
Boom. Y'all. We have clients who are doctors. It's weird, right? And if you get the right doctor who doesn't have a massive ego, they're going to say, yeah, we don't know much about nutrition. Right? So they're just going off the information, right? The data that's been given to them in medical school. It's not their fault, and I'm not calling out doctors,
Yep.
and we love doctors. Yet, if you don't have the experience in it, and you're giving out not the most accurate information, it can cause a lot of misleading information for those who are receiving it, correct?
Yeah, they're not taught preventative care. They're taught medicine, treating an issue, right?
Yep.
And a lot of us, which makes sense, we think of doctors like as the know-all, which they are so intelligent in so many other places. But when it comes to nutrition and preventative care, sometimes it doesn't happen, unfortunately, because of how the system is set up in their schooling.
Totally. So what is it, and this is going to vary for each person, but what is a healthy amount of fat that we should be having throughout the day? I mean, there's some people that do full on, right? What is it? The meat diet? What is that called?
Carnivore.
The carnivore diet, right? I mean, that's a lot of fat throughout the day.
Right.
Yet there's some really good health benefits there. So, everybody's going to be different, but what is that?
Yeah, and the reason, well, speaking off of the carnivore diet, the reason that's higher is because they're getting like very minimal carbs. So it makes sense because you need a certain amount of fuel, whether it be fats or carbs, to get through your day, to do your activities that you want to do. And so say you're higher fat, that means you're going to be lower carb if you're wanting to maintain or fix something in your body composition. If you're wanting to gain mass, whether it be, usually it's muscle for people, right? Then you're going to want to have more, and you might be able to bump carbs and fat up. But for the typical person who's trying to either maintain or maybe lose a little bit, there's a minimum requirement that I have for our clients when it comes to fat because of what I mentioned before, the hormone issues, especially, and overall health. For ladies, typically, I usually say a minimum of 70 grams, which might sound high to a lot of like coaches out there teaching macros.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of clients from other coaches on 40, 50 grams of fat. There's some programs out there that literally have you do under 20 grams of fat for weeks and weeks at a time. And that just scares me. It's
Yeah.
not good for your health. So that's for females. I usually have a minimum of 70 unless you're very small and there's something else going on. For guys, somewhere around 80 or 90. And then you can bump up from there. If you want to go lower carb, then I would go up from there.
There it is, you guys. And this is a general, right? We're saying general here. Again, these are like the bumpers on a bowling alley. We're giving you that there, the tons of freedom within it. Because again, we don't want you to get super obsessive about the number. We want you to seek out the highest quality food possible. You're in a much better direction if you're seeking out the highest quality of food and not worrying about the macros. I mean, other than when I'm looking at sweet treats, that's the only time I actually look at the nutrition label in terms of what are the grams. Everything else I'm looking at the ingredient list.
Totally, yeah. I rarely look at the calorie count. Yeah, and I should say, if you're not familiar with counting at all, totally fine. I do recommend, if you are trying to figure some things out, trying to learn for yourself, counting calories for maybe a week or two would be awesome, just to learn what you get and what things have. But if you're like, no, I'm not going to count. Yes, we don't do that here as far as long-term stuff. So if you're thinking of like, how do I build my meal with that, then think of something small, like at least a thumb size. Some people that is helpful to add to your meal, whether that be like a quarter to a half of an avocado at a meal, whether that be a tablespoon of olive oil on your salad. Something that I find that's very common in clients, I'll see them have a meal where it's like steamed veggies and then a chicken breast. And to me, I'm like, oh man, like where's the fat in there? And then I see on their food journal note, oh, lack of energy 1 or 2 hours later. I'm like, oh yeah, because there's no fat.
Yes.
So adding a little bit in there, whether it be some butter, a handful of pumpkin seeds, a handful of nuts, something like that would be really helpful.
Again, that clean burning source of energy. Fat is the cleanest energy source that we have. Just think about that. Cleanest energy source that we have. So there's less residue that's going on. That's why when people get metabolically flexible, they'll talk about, wow, it's just like super clear in the mornings. Like throughout the day, I have energy. I don't feel a crash. Because unlike carbohydrates, that's going to have more residue to it when it's burning off.
Because of the blood sugar.
Because of the blood sugar. Being metabolically flexible is pretty nice. Wait a second. Let me take out the pretty. It's darn nice. It's darn nice.
Yep. Yeah, and I will say you can definitely go over in fats because they're so dense. And so, for example, like if you're like, oh, I'm going to go paleo, and so that means I can have nuts. So then you get the giant Costco thing of cashews, which are delicious.
So good.
But then you just like keep eating out of it, and it's like handful after handful. Peanut butter or nut butter after, spoonful after spoonful. It's very easy to overdo, right? Because it tastes delicious and it's very dense. So you can definitely overdo it. And that is a lot of their struggle when they're trying to lose weight is they're like, oh, I'm eating all whole foods. It's like, well, what's the portion size looking like? So definitely something to be aware of on that end as well.
Oh, yeah. Because I get that nut butter, that organic nut butter from Costco.
Yes. The nuts, though.
And there's, I think the whole container's like 3,000 calories or 3,200 calories.
You've looked at the whole container.
Oh yeah. I've done the math because I'm like, did I eat a full jar in 1 week? Okay, so I ate 3,200 calories in 1 week.
Those are the sneaky ones.
Those are the sneaky ones, just to be
where
aware
where I wouldn't be too concerned is like a steak, or eggs.
Right.
Like those are whole foods. Like your body is smart, and you're not eating like just egg yolks after egg yolks. You're adding it with a protein, which prevents you from naturally overeating it. So, so those things I would not worry about. Like, oh, I had too much steak. That's really hard to do, actually. Even if it's like a ribeye, a fatty steak. If you're pairing it with some vegetables and some other whole foods, you'll be fine. Yes. But it's those sneaky nut butters and nuts and seeds.
Totally. And that's one of the things, guys, that we talk about is, and go back, listen to our carbohydrates and our protein. We talk about just have that balanced meal. Don't
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to overthink it. Just go, okay, where's my protein? All right, nice. Where's my
Yep.
vegetables? Oh, cool. I want to put some extra fat on there. Great.
Right.
And
And you
then
know what I
eat it.
usually find where it's harder is when people are snacking on the fats and they're not
Oh yeah.
adding them to their meals, but it's a snacking because then you're going to be more hungry when you're snacking, right? You're not pairing it with a meal. So,
Hmm.
and what we do in the program is teach you how to get to more meals rather than snacking, that in a way that works for you.
Yes. Eliminating the snack monster. Not saying the snacks aren't bad, just eliminating the snack
Right.
monster, becoming superhuman.
Right.
Okay, well, let's talk about metabolic flexibility and burning fat. How do we burn fat? How does metabolic flexibility play a role in this burning fat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we're again constantly eating carbs or having them at every time we eat, especially if we're eating every 2 to 3 hours or less, our body becomes more reliant on carbs for fuel because it's easy, it's quick, right? It's that kindling wood that's like, oh, a spark of energy. So our
Mm-hmm.
body will gravitate to the glucose before fat for fuel when we're
Mm-hmm.
doing that. So when we say in the morning we wait maybe 2 hours to eat, we've been fasting since, from the night before,
Mm-hmm.
then our body will have to use something for fuel. That means like if you eat something, it'll use that. If you don't, it'll find a way to get some fuel and it will go to your glucose store. So hopefully it uses all of that up throughout the night. But two, it'll start using fat for fuel. It'll turn some glucose into fuel. It'll start making ketones in your body. And so these things are what's going to train your body to start going, oh, I can use fat for fuel. I don't have to rely on carbs. There might be a hard transition period because your body's used to using carbs all the time. That's why one of my recommendations is at least experiment with this.
Mm-hmm.
Try waiting a little bit in the morning, or if you do eat, focus on protein and fat. Then you're forcing your body, in a sense, to use the fat for fuel instead of relying only on carbs. And so, in order to be more metabolically flexible, that means we have to make sure we are getting fat. So, we are fueled, we have energy. And then that's paying attention to the carb sources too, and our energy levels of, do we need carbs at this time of day? Do we need carbs, this amount of carbs in general? So it's asking yourself those questions, again, getting curious for yourself because everyone's different. And working with a coach is super helpful, especially when it comes to that.
Big time, big time. Yeah, that's the thing that I found. I mean, when I was eating anywhere from 4 to 6 meals a day, I was constantly searching for like waiting till my next like snack or
Right.
meal
Thinking
time.
about it. Yep.
Like, oh, okay, I get to eat in just one more hour. One more hour, I get to have this,
Totally.
right? And that's due to the fact that I was in that constant anabolic stage of, right, burning the source of food that I gave it, and then the body was like, okay, I want more. Okay, I want more.
Yeah.
It's almost like an addict, right? I'd be
Yeah. It's
like,
that roller
give me
coaster
more.
of blood sugar.
Mm-hmm. And so the more that I started going like, oh, yeah, wait a second, no. I can take out these meals. So then I started eating 3: breakfast, lunch, dinner. And at first it was a little hard, and then I started looking at like, oh, maybe some more vegetables here. I'm gonna add more vegetables, volume on the vegetables. And you know what? I'm gonna add a little more protein. I'm not gonna be concerned about the fat. And all of a sudden, it was easy to go 4, 5, even 6 hours without a meal. Then I started going like, man, you know what saved me a ton of time? Not eating lunch. Okay, I'm not gonna eat lunch then. So then I was having a great breakfast, nice filling breakfast, ton of protein, fats, vegetables. Guys, I eat vegetables in the morning, bell pepper, cherry tomatoes, right? No hummus, just straight up vegetables, and I love it. Then I got to the point of going, I mean, shoot, what would happen if I just had one meal? And after doing a 72-hour fast, I was like, okay, well, if I can do 3 days, let's just try, some 24 hours. And sure enough, my energy levels stay super solid. I have 1 cup of half caffeinated coffee a day. And my energy levels I couldn't sleep last night, guys, because I was so happy on life. I was so happy on life. Like, I was thinking like, man, Emily and I are partners and life is so fantastic. I couldn't sleep. I got up. And you know what I repeated? Oh, yes. I just remember this. I'm walking around, right, my house, and I'm saying this. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And I would breathe. The answer is yes. Because I get another day to live, another day to be your business partner, another day to help people find metabolic flexibility, another day to feel the heartbreaks and to feel the joy of what life is. Y'all, this is again, metabolic flexibility, yet we also create really happy people. And you were feeling grateful the other day too, weren't you?
Oh yeah. I still like have to remind, I don't have to remind myself. I am reminded of how awesome, our job is and what we get to do and help people. And it's exactly what I want to do. And I'm like, what? This actually happened?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
The answer is yes, you guys. The answer is yes.
But we made it happen.
Dang. Oh my gosh. Y'all, we celebrate. If y'all don't celebrate, you're missing out on a huge component of life. No one, listen to me, no one can celebrate you like you can celebrate you. It is misinformed, just like fats, just like our carbohydrates, just like the food pyramid, that celebrating yourself is deemed cocky or arrogant. It is not. To be able to say, I created this through the hard times and the struggles, I moved forward, believing in myself in each step, knowing that I would overcome. That is not cocky. That is believing in yourself. We celebrate at every single call. Every call we have with our clients, we celebrate. And it is a game changer. Start celebrating yourself. It will. Does it not, Emily?
Oh, totally. Because that was not a habit of mine before. And now it starts me like, oh yeah, what is a good win for the day or the week? And it gets you on that positive mindset, which creates the momentum to keep going and keep doing the things that make you feel better.
This quite possibly is the best podcast we've ever had in the history of podcasts.
I love it.
Let's talk about the foods we should incorporate, right? We always like to give you guys 3 things, right? So what are 3 foods that we should incorporate into our diet that have good fat? What are the three foods that you use? And there's so many, right?
I know.
And I'm throwing like a huge curveball on you. Yet
right.
For the average person who may not be getting these fats, what are the 3 ones they should start incorporating into their day to day?
Yeah, my first one I'm gonna do a hyphen or slash. I'm gonna say meat/fish. So whatever you prefer, anything in that category. Could be pork, could be chicken if that's what you prefer, but I recommend at least trying to incorporate beef or fish into your week because it has more of those omega 3s and it has more micronutrients in both of those than, say, chicken or turkey, for example. That'd be number 1. Number 2, this is maybe I'm a little biased and selfish because I love eggs, but I'm going to say eggs.
Yes.
Because they're such a great food. That protein, fat, and so many nutrients in the yolk. I call it a mini multivitamin.
Yes.
Love it. And they're just so dang easy for so many of us to prep and make. And then number 3, I'm going to say avocado because it's another superfood to me. And I don't usually use that word, but it's high in fat, it's high in fiber, and high in so many micronutrients. So all those ones are super nutrient dense. So you get the most bang for your buck. So that's why I would choose those. Yeah.
You wanted to throw another one. She wanted to, y'all didn't. If you're watching on the YouTube or the Proclivity Method on Facebook, Emily just did open the mouth, right? The fly is about to fly into your mouth because you're like, I want to just add one more thing. I mean, we could add so many different, fats that people are really just, they're missing on. Yep. Yet those are beautiful, right?
I did have one tip. That's what I was going to add on. So,
there it is, guys. Here she comes. Here she comes. Okay, here we go.
But the tip, if you're wanting to reduce the poor quality oils, because again, that's what leads to the oxidative damage, which leads to sickness, illness, that high cholesterol, all these different things, the joint pain, take a look at how often you eat out and see if you can adjust that, whether that be find a restaurant that uses better oils. Shout out to Grateful Gardens.
Whoa.
But typically it's very hard to find restaurants who do that. But then look, say, do I eat out, say, 4 times a week? Can I cut that in half to 2 times? Can I, have eggs for another meal, make it super simple for myself? Or can I prep an extra serving in the dinner that I make tonight? That would be my recommendation, because that's where, again, aside from packaged food, that's where we get the majority of those omega-6s, those refined omega-6s.
Simple. Done easy. This is rocket science, guys. It's the hardest thing that you'll ever do in your entire life. No, it's not. Do simple better. Coach Emily, we're at the 50-minute mark. We crushed this podcast.
It's fun.
We're really good at what we do. You can say
Indeed.
it. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. We are. And if you guys are, after listening to this, go, man, I want to be able to say, hey, I lost a bunch of weight and it wasn't hard. Hey, I now choose foods and a diet that works for me. You can hit us up. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, www.proclivity.co. You can go in there, check out what we have on the website. Then click on a clarity call. It's 45 minutes with Emily and I. There's no obligation. We're here to be able to help you through those 45 minutes. If we think that working with us in the Proclivity method is awesome, we'll say, hey, you're a perfect fit. Let's do this. If not, and you're not ready, you know what? We give out a ton of information. Check out our podcast. Check out our Instagram page. Check out our personal pages. We want to give you as much information as you possibly can that is simple yet highly effective. So, if you're interested, shoot us a message. Head to our website. We're here to help. Is that right?
That's right.
Anything else? How are we going to close this out?
Oh no, don't put the pressure on me.
What's one thing you're really happy about?
Just the things are flowing for me. Like what we talked about before, like with my family. I'm about to go hunting this weekend. I'm super excited for that, and I have the job of my dreams.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Life is so absolutely incredible, you guys. It is only our perception that changes it. And if you're ready, when you get the nutrition down and you get the mindset down and you get your sleep down, every day I wake up and I go, this could be my last day. This could be my last day on earth. How am I going to live it? And it puts a huge smile on my face. And I take a deep breath and I look down at my foot and I go, this could be my last first step. And I take that step with purpose. And if you're seeking for that purpose and you're seeking for that energy and you want to be able to have that, y'all just come and see us. We love what we do. I'm getting way too giddy. We're going to go now. Emily and I can talk about this on our own. This is fantastic.
Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. But please do hit us up on social media. Ask us questions on there. We love answering them.
Perfect. Guys, we'll be back next week. Well, actually, hey, check out episode 47. It might not be next week. I'm heading over to Virginia. Yet, take a look. Episode 47. We don't know what it's going to be yet. If you haven't checked out our Instagram lives, check out those. The gas station one's great. The Whole Foods one is great. We talk about sleep in there. Go check it out. All right, that's it. Bye, Coach.
See ya.